She was born on a rainy night, in the back room of a crumbling hospital with no electricity, and no one to hold her mother's hand. No one cheered. No one smiled. Just silence, and the quiet sobs of a woman who knew this child would be born into rejection. Her name was Hope, but she never truly knew what that word meant. Hope's father was a powerful businessman, rich, respected, and married. Her mother was nothing more than a housemaid, a shadow in the corner of his mansion. When he found out she was pregnant, he didn't hesitate. He fired her. He paid her off. And he made her disappear. For the next 13 years, Hope grew up in the shadows of life. She watched other children go to school while she helped her mother clean homes. She listened to bedtime stories through cracked windows, told to children who had fathers that kissed them goodnight. But Hope never complained. She was quiet, strong, observant. She studied the world like a puzzle, trying to find the piece that would finally let her fit in. And then one evening, she asked the question her mother had prayed she'd never ask. Who is my father? Her mother froze. Her eyes filled with tears. And for the first time, Hope saw something break inside her. He's a man who chose his reputation over your existence, she whispered. That night, Hope made a promise to herself. One day, the man who forgot her would know her name. Not as a child. Not as a beggar. But as someone he could never ignore again. She didn't know how she'd do it. But she felt it in her bones. Her time would come. And when it did, it would shake his entire empire. 3 years passed. Hope was now 16, and life hadn't gotten easier. It had only grown heavier. Her mother, worn down by years of hard labor, fell ill. The kind of illness that doesn't come with warnings or second chances. Hospitals laughed them away, demanding money before medicine. Hope begged. She borrowed. She even tried to sell her own blood. But it wasn't enough. Her mother died on a plastic mattress in a government hospital, her hands clenched in hopes, whispering only 2 words before she left. Find him. That night, grief didn't break Hope. It lit a fire in her chest. She took everything she had. A torn photograph of her mother in front of a mansion, an old envelope with a name on it, and her pain, and boarded a crowded bus to the city. To his world. Her father's name was everywhere, on billboards, on luxury cars, on magazine covers. As a philanthropist. Family man. The lie burned her from the inside. She stood outside the massive glass building of his empire for 2 days straight, holding her mother's picture in the rain, waiting. Watching. But no one saw her. Security called her a beggar. One even threw coins at her. And when she finally forced her way into the lobby, screaming his name with every ounce of pain she'd buried, the guards dragged her out like trash. You think just because you're poor, you get to claim a billionaire as your father? Get lost, girl. She walked away with blood on her knees, but her spine still straight. And in that moment something shifted. She realized this world wouldn't give her a seat at the table. She would have to build her own table. Hope took jobs no one wanted, cleaning toilets in hotels, washing dishes until her fingers cracked. At night she read business books from the trash. She watched videos in cybercafes. She studied the stock market like it was a language only the rich spoke. And she swore she would one day speak it better than all of them. She worked. She learned. She survived. And slowly she began to rise. But what no one knew, not even the man who had abandoned her, was that Hope was not just coming back for success. She was coming back to reclaim her name, and to destroy the empire that was built on her mother's silence. At 18, Hope no longer looked like the girl who begged outside glass buildings. Her eyes were sharper, her back straighter, her voice quieter, but heavier. She had changed. She had saved every coin, invested in scraps, taken online courses using borrowed identities. She taught herself branding, finance, digital marketing, and eventually launched a small fashion resale business using clothes no one wanted. And somehow it worked. The girl from the village was now a young woman with her own office. Small, cramped, and dimly lit, but hers. Each sale she made felt like revenge whispered in silk. But one day, while delivering a dress to a client in an elite hotel, she caught sight of him. Her father. Laughing in a luxury suit. Surrounded by cameras and microphones. Preaching about supporting young entrepreneurs in Africa. It took every fiber in her body not to scream. He walked past her like she didn't exist. But that night, as she stared at herself in a cracked mirror, she made a vow. He will know my name. And when he says it, it will taste like regret. She took bigger risks. Joined pitch competitions. Networked in circles that didn't want her. She faced rooms of suits who smirked at her accent, her skin, her gender. But she kept speaking. And when she did, people listened. Because Hope didn't pitch ideas. She pitched pain. vision, truth. Her startup began to scale. Investors came. First hesitant, then obsessed. By 20, she owned a luxury e-commerce company valued at $2 million. Still, she never told her story publicly. Not yet. She was waiting for the perfect moment. The moment her name would echo in the same rooms her father dominated. And then it happened. She was invited to speak at a global summit. Same city, same hotel, same stage as him. He would be the keynote speaker. And she, the mysterious rising star closing the night. They didn't know they had booked father and daughter into the same lineup. But Hope did. She planned everything. From her entrance, to her final words. The grand ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers, velvet curtains, and the quiet hum of the elite. Cameras rolled, influencers live-streamed, and journalists tapped their screens. It was the final night of the summit. The host adjusted the mic and smiled, announcing, "To close this unforgettable event, please welcome a young woman reshaping African business with boldness and grace, the founder of Nyoka Luxury, Hope Ndaru." There was polite applause, until she stepped onto the stage. Then silence. She didn't look like a billionaire. No glitter. No designer gown. Just a deep green suit, the color of envy and rebirth. Her hair tied back. No jewelry. Just fire in her eyes. And in the front row, her father froze. He choked on his drink. Their eyes met. He blinked once. Twice. He hadn't seen her in 10 years. And yet here she was. The daughter he abandoned. On his stage. Hope walked slowly to the podium. She paused. Then spoke. "I was born into dust. Not because we were poor. But because someone decided I wasn't worthy of love. Of food. Of warmth." Gasps in the audience. She continued, voice steady but sharp. "My name is Hope Ndaru. And I was abandoned by the same man who stood on this stage hours ago. Preaching about investing in Africa's daughters." The silence shattered into chaos. Cameras swung. Phones lit up. Her father stood up, trying to leave, but she raised her hand. "No. You will stay. You will hear this." Security paused. The audience held their breath. "You left me and my mother in the slums. While you built towers, we slept under broken roofs. While you drank champagne, I drank rainwater from cracked buckets. But I didn't die. I rose." Her voice cracked, not from weakness, but from power too heavy to carry quietly. "Today, I own 5 companies. I employ hundreds. And I feed girls like me, so they never have to beg for love. You wanted to bury me. But you didn't know. I was a seed." She stepped away from the mic. The room exploded. Some cried. Others stood and clapped. Online the livestream broke records. Within minutes, hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag Hope Ndaru. Hashtag From Dust to Diamond. Hashtag The Daughter Who Returned. Her father stood frozen, eyes wide. No words. Just shame. And the weight of the truth unraveling around him. And Hope? She smiled. Not because she had hurt him, but because she had healed herself. By morning, her face was everywhere. Not just across Africa, but Paris, New York, Dubai, Tokyo. The daughter who returned. From rags to ruler. Hope Ndaru, the girl who shook the empire. Her speech went viral in 72 countries. Overnight, she gained 4 million followers. Major networks begged for interviews. Luxury brands offered deals. Even global leaders tweeted her name. But she didn't care. Because that night, while the world roared, she went home. To the slum. To Mama. Her mother was sitting on their old couch, the one patched with tape and prayer. Her eyes sparkled with tears. "Did you see me, Mama?" Her mother smiled. "I always did." They embraced. No cameras. No applause. Just warmth. She didn't need the world's approval. She already had the only one that mattered. But the story wasn't over. Weeks later, a document was leaked. A shocking revelation. The man she had exposed, her biological father, was being investigated. For corruption. For trafficking. For hiding over $50 million in offshore accounts. Money that was meant to build schools, hospitals, homes. Hope's speech hadn't just shaken hearts. It had opened vaults. And when asked by a reporter what she thought of it all, she simply said, "He tried to erase me. But I became the evidence he couldn't burn." Soon after, a new foundation was launched. The Hope Fund. It would help abandoned girls across the continent. Fund their dreams. Pay their tuition. Protect them from the silence Hope once drowned in. And at its launch event, the crowd, the lights, the world watching, someone asked her, "What would you say to the little girl you used to be?" She paused, eyes soft, voice low. I'd say, they tried to break you, but you didn't bend. You turned pain into purpose. And your scars? They're the map. The end.